Hello everyone, my name is Corazar, and welcome back to the Vintage Story Guide. We are back in the world on yet another rainy day, which I guess we should just expect at this point. And I have been busy through the night, just sort of organizing things, getting my inventory cleared out. I did go up there where I suspected there might be some drifters, and sure enough, there is a small little nook where they can spawn and then just drop on our heads. So I went and just put a few stones down and got that cleared up. And now we are going to start, in today's episode, I want to actually get something dug out into our little home here so that we can move, if not all, then at least some of our stuff up there to have a more livable space. I mean, look at this place. But before we do that, we have a few things to tend to, things that will keep us alive in the long run. And the first of those is that I forgot to bring seeds. There we go, a few onion seeds. And we're going to go ahead and harvest our amaranth, because I see it is nice and bright and red over there, which means it is high time for that to come out of the ground. So I'm going to harvest that and replant these onions, and then I need to get to making our next meal, because this is the last meal I have and it's only good for about half of a satiation bar. So I'm going to get to it. Okay, these are actually moving along. Okay. I guess we'll have pineapple and cassava eventually. And peanuts look like they could be ready, I don't know, tomorrow or the day after. Anyway, I'm going to get to it, and then I will meet you all back when we are ready to pick up where we left off. Okay, so that was a partial lie. I want to take a really quick jaunt over here and pick up some fire clay because I want to make some pies. Because we just got over a stack of amaranth grain, and while I can cook that into porridge, you get a lot less satiation out of porridge than you do out of a pie. In a porridge, you're going to get about, I think, 180 per piece of amaranth, whereas I believe in a pie it's something like 220 or 200. I'll have to look it up. But I do think that we get more out of grains when they are baked into a pie. So I'm going to go ahead and grab some of this. I'm going to make us a quick clay oven, and we're going to make our first pie of the South. Okay, so apparently we don't have anything that can go in pies right now. Oops! Ow. Yeah, it's done. Okay. Whew. Oop, nope. We're dying here, man. Well, lesson learned. Apparently, nothing that grows in the South can go into a pie. And I didn't know that salted meat couldn't go in a pie either. Well, you live and you learn. Or I guess you learn and die. For what good that's worth. But speaking of southern crops, I do want to do an experiment. So we have this cassava, and you'll see that here it says soak in water to make this edible. So I think that's what we're going to do. We're just going to fill up this barrel with water, and you soak it for about a day, and then it will become somewhat edible. Now I don't know if this will let us put it into a pie, and if not, what's going to happen is this cassava will actually dry out, and then once it's dried, it's no longer a vegetable. once it dries, we can then grind it into flour and use it in here. So we may end up just having to make a bunch of bread to tide us over till our onions grow, because nothing we have can go into a pie. Okay, everyone, it is morning, and I have my dwindling pot of stew, and what I'm going to do today is, before we start digging our new digs, I want to start bringing down these lumps here and getting them out of the way, and I want to use some of that stone to build up that bit of stone behind the support there so that this looks like it is properly attached to the wall. So I'm going to get that done here real quick. That shouldn't take too long. I've got my shovel and my pickaxe with me, and if I'm lucky I might even get a decent screenshot for the thumbnail of the last episode. Yes, you know, I'm going to do that now, before anything else happens. Anyway, I'll bring you all back when this is down and maybe a little bit patched up, and we are ready to start digging into the wall a bit. Okay, everyone, we are back for a moment because our cassava is done. You'll see there is a temporal storm on the horizon. Dear. Let's take 8 of you, and now we have to peel it with a knife, so I assume that just means drop it in here. There we go. It is still drying. 6 hours of drying, okay. Now, let's see if we can put this in a pie or not. Can you go in a pie? You can! Okay, sweet. So we can do veggie pies with cassava. Well, I'm going to make a couple more pies as the wolf chorus goes on in the background. And I am going to then just chuck them in a bin, and we will ride out this storm in a suit of armor in a hole in the ground. Anyway, I will see you all after that's done. Okay, everyone, it is the moment you've been waiting for, the reason you were all here. It is time to get started on digging out our new digs. And I have brought a second trunk up here. Actually, it was already in this chest here, but I have separated out the stone from the wood materials, and we're going to go ahead and start digging out this rock face. And what I'm thinking is we have an 8-block wide interior, so I think we want to have it be probably 12 blocks long to avoid it feeling too boxy, and just to give us more space, because you know we can fill up space pretty quickly. So let's go ahead and do that, and then we'll get started filling in the floor, and then getting these walls put in a little more neatly. So, pickaxes out. Well, here we have our very first living space going on. I think this is nice and roomy, and I'm going to drop a couple torches here so we can just sort of see it better from all corners of the room. Okay, not that much better, thanks Bog. But this is going to be an 8x12 interior, and we'll put our walls up here. And this is kind of fortunate in a way that we hit this shaft that leads down to where our ladder comes up to our little hidey hole. And this is that place that I told you about where I had gone up to investigate and found a little bit of an area where drifters were spawning. And I laid some rocks out for them, because they, you know, like to eat rocks, or something. Now, what I'm going to do about these walls is I do want to do the same kind of wood along the bottom, so some ebony wood all across the bottom, like this. But that's going to leave this sort of gap right here. Now, inside here, it's fine, because we're going to have more walls, we're going to have other things occluding the view, so in here, this is fine. However, out here, I need to use the chisel to sort of add back in some granite rock on this side of this one, and eventually on whatever we put here, I guess would be the sandstone, on the outside of the sandstone, and basically everywhere that it would line up with the edge of this cut into the stone here, we need to use the chisel and make sure there's a nice, smooth, solid connection there. Now, this has gotten me thinking kind of over here, because this is like a really nice, perfect shaft straight down, and I wonder, I was going to sort of cut through here and have like a hallway somewhere that leads to however far that goes out to the back there, and then I was going to have like a staircase maybe in the middle of that hallway that goes down over to here and then down and out of the mountain. I'm wondering if this wouldn't be a prime spot for like a spiral staircase, maybe even with some interesting, I don't know, like glass windows and some kind of central like axle that you sort of walk around, central pole you walk around. I think that could be a really fun idea, and that won't be in this episode, but going forward I want to keep that in my mind, because we do need to think about how we're going to get in and out of here. This ladder is very, hopefully, temporary, and while I do think I'm going to put a second ladder here that goes down to the ground below, that would also be temporary and just a way for us to get up here quickly. But maybe we won't even need to do that, because if we do decide to do this sort of spiral staircase here, that could just be our way up and down, and we can call it that. And then, while I do still want to do the staircase down to the ledge down there, that's less of a pressing issue. We can sort of take our time with that. And the wolf agrees. So, I am going to go ahead and get these walls in, assuming I don't run out of wood, like I just did. And I'm also going to get that chiseling in to make sure that... where the heck is my saw? There you are. I'm going to get the chiseling in to make sure that we have everything looking nice and lined up and smooth. And then I think our next order of business is going to be probably getting some of the ceiling done. I do want to have a decent non-stone ceiling. And then figuring out what we're going to do with the back of this, especially if I'm not going to do a central hallway here and instead opt for a staircase, because we still will need a hallway, but it might just be offset by a couple blocks like here. Let's get to it. Okay, everyone, here we are. Here is our progress up till now. I have run out of the ebony logs, but that is my next mission. But so far, I think I'm liking how this is coming out. I do want to do something with this sandstone. I think we're going to need some kind of pictures or shelves or something to break up these larger spaces, because the sandstone is quite bright. It's a very bright color, and when you get too much of it, it kind of gets in your face, and it does match the floor a little bit more than I'd like it to. I wish it was maybe a little paler, or maybe less yellowy, maybe more toward the red side. I don't know. I'm not going to do the bauxite though, that's for sure. But I do think that just breaking it up would help as well, so that might be an option too. So I'm going to go ahead and run down and get some more ebony, and I'll bring y'all back when we are back and working toward finishing some of the more basic parts of the room here. And actually, while I'm out, I might also go and visit that rift. Actually, I might go... Hello, Drifter, who just fell, apparently. Wow. It's pure carnage out here. But I did spot over here, on the other side of our mountain, a bit of silver. Which means that, one, there's silver underground, and two, there is going to be some quartz. So I think it might be an opportune time to go and get that and get our glass making on. Because I do want to put some glass panes in here, because otherwise these are quite dangerous. Well, I thought I was being so careful, and it turns out I wasn't careful enough. The short version is I was sort of recording in small clips and deleting them when something, or rather when nothing exciting happened, so whenever they were boring clips, and I have mined out this whole section of quartz, and wait till you see our silver haul so far. So check out this silver right here. This is nuts. And I say so far because, let me just double check with the Pro Pick, but I think right about, let's do right about here, why not? I'm pretty sure we are still going to have a decent reading, yes, medium amounts of silver. That's because if we go up this torch marked place right here, and we hang a right, there's a whole second quartz deposit up here, and I wasn't going to turn it into a big silver run, but that's what it is now, I guess, because yeah, we have more silver here, I think, then we found combined gold and silver up at Lupine Ridge. I'm reasonably certain of that. But the exciting thing that did happen, that I ended up freaking missing, is that right down here, we found our very first rose quartz crystals, 4 of them, and which isn't a huge haul, but it's still more than our inventory can handle because I have a basket full of goodies as well. So I marked it with a torch and was explaining it to nobody apparently as I was doing that, but the rest of the explanation is that I'm going to finish carving out all of this area here and getting as much silver as I can, and then I'll wrap it up home and come back for the rose quartz. And I'll meet all of you when we are ready to finish up that room, at least the exterior and the walls of it, because we're going to get enough glass to do, well, we'll have enough glass for quite a while. And I even have a little bit of lead from some lead we found a few episodes ago, and it's not much, but it's enough for, I think, 8 window panes, so very exciting. Anyway, I'll see you then. Okay, everyone. We are back at our house, which is still unfinished, but we now have the ebony to finish the cross beams overhead, and we have some acacia, which I'm not sure what we're going to use it for yet, but we'll use it. And I decided that, well, one, because we only have 2 lead ingots right now, I didn't want to mess it up, so I did pop over into a copy of This World in Creative, and I think that the best kind of wood for this is going to be ebony, but only because I'm going to do something with it with a chisel. I think it's going to work out better. The purple heart was kind of too, I don't know, crayon boxy when I put it in, and the acacia was kind of the same way. But keeping this sort of color in the frame might actually work out. So let's give it a whirl. And we only have 8, and we'll do that and that. And right now they do look awfully plain, which is fine, at the moment at least. And we're only going to be able to do one of these windows, so we can just sort of pick one and go with it. And we'll do this one, why not? There we go. Okay, now for the chisel. What I wanted to do with this is I wanted to make a wish that I could keep my lantern in my hand, but I can't. So first of all, we are going to make a wee little windowsill on each of these, like so. There we go. Now for these that border the windows, I'm going to actually grab some of you, and we are going to turn these into half ebony, half sandstone brick. And we're just going to do it, oops, not like that, like so. And that would just give us some of that separation that we need to keep this from looking like we forgot what we were doing halfway through. Now I could do that to the door, and I'm going to kind of do that, but I want to get the windows done first. So first thing is, I do wonder if I should just do some stone around here. Like, should I just pop this out a little bit? I might. Let's try that, see how it looks. You know, I don't hate it, but I might just do this across the top. Yeah, let's go with that. A nice sort of flush window, but with just enough definition to make it stand out. And I'll do it over here too. Okay, very nice. Now, for what I'm going to do over here, I'm kind of leaning toward a slightly curved archway here, maybe like so. Yeah, and then we're going to dig into our bamboo. I would kind of like to make a little pattern in here, the bamboo. And now, with the chisel, we can play around with the ebony and the bamboo. So I'm going to come up with a design, and I'll bring y'all back when I have something that I think I am happy with. Okay, everyone. Are you ready to see it? Let's take a look in 3, 2, 1. There it is. This is what I've come up with, sort of like a peacock sort of design. And on the inside we have the bamboo that's sort of facing toward us if we're stacked sideways. And I did go ahead and poke out an alternating pattern to get that wicker effect. And of course, because we have a 2-block wide section here, I did have to sort of join them up in the middle because it looked kind of funny otherwise. So it's not perfect, but then again, it is a vintage story, so we have to work with the even numbers, the 16s, as we get them. And I did sort of chisel out just a little bit of a bevel here on the edges of these lobes, and I think it works pretty nicely. I'm really happy with it. Now, what I'm not quite happy with is this part of the house. I was playing around with some kind of getting stuck on the ladder with some kind of separator, whether it be like an arch like this or a square arch like this. I wanted something, because I would like to use these spaces maybe for storage and or decoration, and I might do sort of a distributed storage around the house this time, like basically wherever we would use the materials the most is where we put the storage. So up here might be materials for, I don't know, cooking, so we keep our bowls and our crocks and everything in here. Assuming we were to cook maybe, I don't know, back here off of this little area here. So I want to do that, but I'm not quite happy with either of these options. They're kind of both, here we go again, getting stuck. They're kind of both blocky. This one's blocky because it's too flush with these logs, and this one is too blocky because it's square. And I don't like either of those too much. So I think I'm going to just take these down for now, and I'll think about it between this episode and the next one, and see what I can come up with that's just less blocky. I could do something like that. That's still more square than I really want. And it's not elegant. I mean, here we have this sort of, you know, this circular pattern. We have these sort of arches here, or this curve in this framework, and then we have these curved lobes. So I'd kind of like to have something else curved here, and I'm kind of, my spidey senses are tingling. I'm getting the bad feeling that I am setting myself up for a lot of chiseling. Because, I mean, hear me out. What about, like, basalt in a sort of curving, swoopy thing with more wicker work in here, like in the flat areas of it? I'm doomed. I'm just doomed. I know it. But I do think that is going to have to wait for the next episode, because I have been at this for quite some time. I wasn't expecting the sudden silver, and by the way, I have found a third deposit, or third quartz vein in there that has yet more silver in it, so it just keeps going and going. And I'm inclined to let it keep going, because why not? Anyway, everyone, that is about all we have time for in this episode of the Vintage Story Guide. I hope you enjoyed the mining out and building out of our very first room here, and I hope you enjoyed the decoration and the side quests to get, you know, materials and glass. In the next few episodes, I think we're going to need to make a resource gathering trip to get some more galena, from more lead to make the windows, and I also think we are going to need to start digging out the rest of our house here soon. I want to get some farms going, our permanent farms, and they're going to be a lot of work. I'm also curious to dig through the rest of the mountain and find out what's sort of on the other side. I'm hearing wolves not just above us, but also sort of beside us, but they're not out on the mountain anywhere, so who knows where they could be. If you have any AMA questions you'd like me to answer in a video like this one, drop them in a comment with the hashtag 20questions, or on the Discord channel. Social and support links, including the Discord invite, are in the video description. As always, my name has been Corazar. Thank y'all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.